YouTube friends! My name is Constance and this is Cruelty Free Musings. Welcome to a beautiful gray and rainy day here in the southern parts of the American geography. It's gonna be really cold today, and by that I mean 84. So it would be really hot for a rainy day in Great Britain. But I'm excited. It's like 20 degrees cooler than it has been the rest of this week. And I will include Celsius notation somewhere on the screen, here or here. So, the title of this video is, How Did I Never Buy That? And this is about my early adventures in YouTube beauty land when I was an impressionable young thing that believed everything that everyone said, which, I mean, a lot of people are trustworthy, and I don't necessarily disagree with a lot of the recommendations that people give, but after trying a lot of things, I have realized that you have to filter everything through would I actually use that, and does it actually, theoretically at least, work for me and for my skin tone. So back before I learned this, and when I watched YouTube videos based, by the biggest beauty channels and the tutorials and the favorites, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need everything that they ever say. These are a few of the things that were really hyped up at the time that I first started watching beauty YouTube videos. And somehow, I didn't buy them. I was in the stage where I bought anything that anyone recommended to me, whether it would work for my skin tone, whether it would work for my skin type, whether it would work for anything at all. Like, I just bought things indiscriminately because I liked the people that were recommending them to me. So, how did I not buy these? There's some things that are generally considered to be like the OG, the hyped things that every beauty YouTuber has ever. I'm not including a lot of those because they were hyped before I started watching YouTube. They were hyped like 5 years ago and I started watching 3 years ago. So, here are some things that were really hyped up and everyone was talking about them 2 and 3 years ago when I was young and impressionable. And now I'm old and bitter. Now I just have a better sense of what makeup I will actually use now. It's great. Know yourself. It's wonderful. You make better purchasing decisions. These are the things that I never bought. Somehow. Even though everyone that I was watching talked about them in every single video. Alright, let's get into it. The first thing that I'm gonna talk about is the Essence Pure Nude, and I will insert a picture. This is a highlighter that honestly I'm really glad that I never picked up. One, because it's really dark. It's really dark. Like, okay, yes, it is a very, like, pretty highlighter if your if it works on your skin tone. And it's like $5 and whatever. It's great. It's great quality, a great price. My cat's just going to go and sit on the blanket that I have spread out on the couch because I was cold this morning. Yeah, that's right. Go and be cute. I traumatized him just a minute ago. I vacuumed. It was terrible. So now he needs to be on the couch, he feels like. So there are 2 reasons that I'm really glad that I didn't buy the Essence Pure Nude highlighter ever, even though it was really hyped when I was in the mood to buy everything that was hyped in makeup land. And those are, it's really dark for someone of my skin tone. Like it would work as a blush topper if I had on like a dark blush. And two, it's a really like natural sheeny finish, and my highlighter preferences tend toward the unnatural. Either like a super intense highlight, one because I'm so fair that a lot of things that are not very intense just fade into my skin. And two, just very, like I have a pink highlighter that I love, and it shows up as a pink, sheen on my cheeks when I turn my head. And I've had people remark on it like, "Oh, that is a really noticeable highlight." And like that is my taste. Either something that like glows off my skin because I'm basically glow in the dark anyway, or something that pops off my skin for another reason because it's like not a color that would normally be on my skin. Moving on. I watched Jaclyn Hill. Three years ago is about when she was collaborating with Becca, and the Champagne Pop face palette collection was coming out. And I swatched it in store once, but I never bought it. And I am astounded because it was the only highlighter that anyone talked about. And I was a Jaclyn Hill fan. I was like, oh, she worked on this thing and it's the perfect thing. Somehow I never bought it though, even though I actively watched her at the time. Never bought it. Same kind of thing for Opal. Like this is one of the OG things, Becca Opal, that's the highlighter that everyone knows. I got a little sample of it back when I didn't really know what highlighter was, and I kind of wore it as a face powder, and I was like, I look like my face is made of metal. What is this? So I don't consider myself to have ever tried Becca Opal, but I'm glad that I never bought it because it's real dark. It's real. I don't think it would work on this face, which the lightest shade in the Too Faced Peach Perfect is my summer color. This face. Yeah, I don't think it would work. I am too fair for Opal Highlight to show up as a highlight on me. It would look like an actual dark stripe on my cheek. This is what I am saying. The next thing that I am actually astonished that I never purchased. And in a lot of ways, this is the inspiration for this video. This is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe collaboration palette, the 35 pan palette. The number one reason that I am surprised that I never bought this is that, one, I was a Jaclyn Hill fan at the time that this came out. I watched her announcement video when it posted. I was like, oh my goodness, this looks fantastic. I was genuinely excited. I loved all of the colors. I loved all of the swatches. I didn't have any conception at this point that finger swatches and how something applies with a brush on your eye is going to look different, and you're looking for different things. If you're looking for a shadow that swatches beautifully and one that applies beautifully with a brush. So I was just like taking all of her swatches and, drooling over them. there are mixed opinions about whether this palette is a super fantastic palette. Most people say, yeah, it's good, it's fine. You know the reason that I didn't buy this? Like I was excited about it. I considered buying it. I was like, this is beautiful. The reason I didn't buy it is the packaging. Not, oh, that's going to get dirty. No. White? Silver? How boring. Like, this is too monochromatic for me. This packaging, I didn't buy it because the packaging, that is one of the things that everyone raves about and drools over, is completely not up my alley at all. Like, I don't like the combination of white and silver. It doesn't appeal to me aesthetically. It makes a lot of sense for Jacqueline's aesthetic, but it is her aesthetic and I have a completely different aesthetic. Says the person with a collectible Crayola tin sitting beside her, holding her knitting needles. Yeah, no, I have a very, very different aesthetic from white with silver accents. And this packaging completely talked me out of wanting the palette. Isn't that interesting? Like, I loved the shadows, but because I didn't like the packaging, I was like, nah, not for me, dog. You can keep it. All right, next thing that I have never bought, somehow. I have tried to get into liquid liner a bunch of times and the cat eye and all of that. Somehow, I've never purchased the Kat Von D tattoo liner. I own other stuff from Kat Von D. And I have purchased several other high-end liquid liners, including the Stila Stay All Day and the Urban Decay Perversion liquid liner. Somehow, never tried the tattoo liner from Kat Von D. The iconic winged eyeliner that most people that wear winged eyeliner a lot rave about. Have never tried it. And I'm like, okay, well that's cool. The next thing that I have never tried, never purchased somehow, even though a lot of people were raving about it, is the Milani eyeshadow primer. Like, when Emily Noel, like, still to this day, Milani eyeshadow primer is her favorite eyeshadow primer. She talked about it for ages and ages. Kitty knocked something over. Yeah, nothing to worry about, huh? Never bought it somehow. Like, I've looked at it. There's Milani in Target and Walmart around where I live. I've been into the store, looked at it, been like, yeah, that's an eye primer. I don't feel the need to pick it up right now. And maybe part of that is that I've only really recently, like, gotten into eyeshadow primer at all. I have never, the one that I use right now, I got because I have some Kat Von D quads, which are very, 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 very inclined to crease on me. So I always use a primer with those. And I have some other mattes that also tend to crease, but not as badly as the Kat Von D. Like, all of the pigmentation will just gather in that eyelid fold right there that's 2/3 of the way up my eyelid. Yeah, not an attractive look at all. So I have an eyeshadow primer for that reason. because mattes tend to gather in the folds of my eyelids for me. But somehow never tried the Milani one. Even though a lot of people, even someone that I hold in high esteem and really respect her opinion, really rave about it. Here's another thing that's kind of more an OG thing. Like, I first started seeing this mentioned, I don't know, a year and a half ago, because people were like, oh, hey, remember this? Doesn't everyone have this? This is the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette, which they have reformulated. I will show you a picture of the original version, because this is the one that everyone talked about. Really nice quality eyeshadows. I have gotten another Wet n Wild palette of this format. Never picked up the Comfort Zone. You would think that these colors would be right up my alley. But no. Just never picked it up. I don't know. Another thing kind of like the Milani eyeshadow primer, where I've walked into the store, looked at the display, even picked up the palette, and asked myself, do I want to buy this? And the answer was, nah, I don't want to buy this right now. So I put it back. So the end result is, I am that one person, that one poor person that doesn't have the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette. Oh, the next thing is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. I am not surprised that I never purchased this one, because it's like $80. But I definitely went and looked it up at least once, and I was like, can I convince myself to pay this much for a 2 products pan, even if it's really beautiful? And the answer is no. Like, it's beautiful. It is genuinely beautiful. And I believe that it would work on my skin tone, which is a bonus. And the packaging is beautiful and more in line with what I generally like, in contrast to the Jaclyn Hill packaging, which is like the opposite of what I tend to like. But yeah, would I love to own the Film Star Bronze and Glow? Absolutely. Am I particularly surprised that I didn't buy this? No. But still a little surprised, because when it was the thing that everyone was talking about, I was buying all of the things that everyone was talking about. It was a dark time period. Alright, next up, the thing that I have never purchased, somehow. I have no idea how. The Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting Powder in Light. This is widely talked about as the perfect contour powder. It creates a natural shadow, never looks gray, just like is the perfect thing for sculpting your cheekbones. I don't know, maybe it's that I'm not that into contour, but I have never purchased that one, somehow, even though it is the thing that everyone raves about, and even though it comes in a color that would definitely work for my skin tone, have never purchased it. How? Dunno. It's not something that I have a strong aversion to any aspect of it, except maybe the price tag. I think it's $38. I mean, you only need a little bit of it, and like, you can, if you use only that and use it every day, it will last you for like 2 years. But I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. And I definitely went through a phase where I was like, I need to find the perfect contour powder. Says the person who doesn't even wear makeup every day. Yeah. Alright, the next thing that I am surprised that I never purchased because they were all the rage and like super, like, everyone was into them and they were like newly released. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kits. Any of them. Or any highlighter from them. I don't own a single Anastasia Beverly Hills highlight. Which is kind of surprising to me. Like, Anastasia is one of my favorite brands in general. I really enjoy their aesthetic. I think that they make beautiful quality things. And yet somehow, I've never purchased any of their highlighters. Somehow. Even though they were super hyped in a time period when I was like drooling over all of the hyped things. Somehow, I've still never purchased any of them. And then the last thing that I have somehow never purchased, and this is an entire category of thing, I have never purchased any brow pencil ever. Now, you might not be super surprised given that I didn't do anything with my brows today. Like sometimes I put powder in them. I'm trying to sort of get into the habit of putting powder through them when I have when I'm doing an eye look. It does kind of balance the face a little bit to have to have this tail be a little bit more defined and darker. I like my brows in general. I think that they're really naturally shaped, and I have to do very little to them, which I appreciate deeply. But like, this is another one of those things where I've been in store and I've looked at brow products and I've asked myself, do I want that? And the answer is just, nah, I don't need it. I've looked at the Wet n Wild one. I've looked at the NYX one. I've definitely looked at the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, as well as the Brow Definer. And Dip Brow, for that matter. But, like, the only thing that I have ever purchased as a brow product is a powder. And actually, the powder that I'm using right now, when I use it, which is not all the time, is just it's a base, it's a taupe shade out of an eyeshadow quad. Like, not even designed to be a brow color, it just happens to work really well for my brows and match them. Which, I have lightened my hair, but I have not done anything to my brows, so I have an eyeshadow that happens to match my brows perfectly, so I use it in my brows. It's great. Particularly because I bought a brow powder kit in blonde, which does not match my brows particularly well. I mean, it's fine, it does match, but it's not quite dark enough to fill in this area where the bottom of my brow arches up a little bit more than I wanted. I want that line to be a little bit straighter, just for continuity. I have opinions about brows. I just don't do anything with mine. Irony. Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed, or learned something, or both. This has been kind of a random video. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you feel like, and goodbye for now.